Welcome to Speed's coverage of the SCCA Runoffs. Last year in H production, Chris Christenberry gets a great jump at the start past pole sitter Tom Feller, but then problems for John Salisbury as he spins at the start, light contact with the wall. Now the wet weather at Mid-Ohio made things difficult for all of the competitors. Incidents all around the very demanding Mid-Ohio circuit. But by lap 9, Feller has caught up with the leader and a great back and forth battle ensues. But finally, with 5 laps to go, Feller gets back by, never looks back, and takes the checkered flag. Tom Feller takes the win and defends his 8th production national championship. Celebrations all around, 2 in a row for Tom Feller. H production has long been known as a playground for the British marks, throwing the occasional Fiat from time to time, but the look of H production is beginning to change. Craig Kima has 2 national championships to his credit, 1 in E production, 1 in F production, but he'd like nothing more than to parlay his Central Division championship into an H production national title. Don Barrick is one of those drivers who's changing the look of H production by driving a front-wheel drive Volkswagen. He won the Southeast Division with 4 wins, and perhaps his experience as an anti-terrorist driving instructor will pay off in traffic today. And for Tony Drum, he's finished on the podium before with a 2nd place showing with 2 wins on the season. He'd like to take his Austin Healey Sprite 1 place higher and claim his first SCCA national crown.
Well, one thing you never want to discount in the national championship is a past national champion. Tom Feller is in fact a 2-time national champion and is the reigning champion from last year. Now he comes into this weekend with 2 wins on the season so far, and you look at his Triumph Spitfire and the one alongside of it driven by Chris Christenberry, they look very much alike. Now Chris comes into this season so far with 1 win under his belt, and he was runner-up last year, came in 2nd in the championships. A totally different type of car, however, is this Fiat X19 driven by Matt Brannon. Now the Fiat X19 came in 3rd last year to these other 2 Spitfires. All these guys want to be on the podium again today. They all want to be on that top stair, but which one will it be? We'll know in a moment.
Welcome to Speed's exclusive coverage of the 43rd running of the Sports Car Club of America, SCCA, the National Championship Runoffs, the first time at Heartland Park, Topeka. Up next, it will be H production. Production class is always great to see, silhouette type cars, and as we said earlier, this class has been known for British marks, but we've seen an influx of other type cars, and they're going to do battle here at Heartland Park, Topeka for the very first time. 5 different venues the Runoffs have competed on the first year here at Heartland Park in Topeka, and with the first year comes lots of challenges. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till along with Dorsey Schrader, Jim Trado, and Mike Johnson. Dorsey, tell us about this racetrack.
Well, Heartland Park, 2.5-mile racetrack with 14 corners, and there's been some changes, mostly in the front straightaway. This little reduction right here has caused trouble. We've had a couple crashes. Also, 1 and 2, we've had a lot of spins there. Best passing place right here. We call this area the bus stop. Watch for danger in that area as well.
And I know you love these cars. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, this is where I started out, H production. They don't have very big engines. In fact, 800 cc's, less than any motorcycle nowadays. So it is a momentum type of a car. You got to keep her going.
Let's get straight down to pit lane and the stories with Jim Trado.
And Brian, Mark Webber has been around this game a long time, a friend to racers for decades from behind the lens. He takes in a lot of still photography over the years at SCCA events. This is his turn to go racing in a car that has parts on it dating back to the 70s. He's going to go charge it from the rear of the field today. Let's go down to Mike Johnson.
Well, these cars are, you can see these cars now are rolling down pit lane. Everyone's getting excited for the race. I was talking to John Salisbury earlier, right before. He actually was 3rd in one of the earlier qualifying sessions. He changed gear, dropped back to 5th place, but he's got a very fast car. Now he's finished 4th 3 years in a row. He's been looking for that first podium. Last year he pushed a little too hard, big crash, first corner, first lap. This year he said he's calmed down. He's going for a big win.
You hear a lot of these guys say, hey, I finished 2nd, I finished 3rd, I finished 4th, I've done it multiple times. I want the top step, and that's what they will all be gunning for, the H Production National Championship in the Sports Car Club of America. Should be good battles all around the racetrack today. Craig Kima on the pole, very, very quick. The field getting sorted out. Behind the pace car, we'll be back to green flag action and the H production battle for the SCCA National Championship from Heartland Park, Topeka. The SCCA National Championships H Production Runoff will be coming at you in just a moment. You see the field lining up behind the pace truck here in Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas. It should be a good one. Talked about Craig Kima being on the pole. He came here with a brand new car, and he is doing a great job. Look at the pictures you're going to be getting here today. Great shots down the front straightaway. Hey, Tess, wave at us. All of our camera people doing a good job here. Tess on one of our cameras there. And great shots all around this racetrack. Like I said, we can't bring you the pictures if the camera people aren't doing their job, and they have braved some seriously cold weather here this weekend to bring you all the great shots and the action that is the SCCA National Championships. Take a look at the starting grid. A couple of national champions on the front row. We talked about Craig Kima. He'll start from the pole. He and Tom Feller, both national champions. Work a little bit further back in the field. Kristen Berry and Matt Brannon both finished on the podium last year. And as you move on back, Ron Bartel has won a national championship as well. So there's a lot of deep talent in this field. Back in the second 10, Randall Canfield, he too has a national championship to his credit. If you look on down, Mark Webber, we spoke about him back in 19th. The guy that brings us lots of photographs from all around the racing world. And look at the last 5 there. Peters, Horrell, Aldred, Moore, and Jones. That is the 25 competitors that will attack this racetrack today in H Production.
Back in 1971, old Mark Webber, me and Bobby Rahal, we all went to driver school together in 1971. That's a long time ago.
All right, Jim Trado, what's going on in pit lane?
Well, Darrell Frame won the June sprints, but with humility, he said, I kind of backed into it. I said, how about your chances today? He said, man, this is a really tough field. I've only had 11 laps here, but he's a student of the game. The first 4 years of his racing career was as a flagman in SCCA. He said, I wanted to learn the understanding of what these stewards do. He's now deeply involved in the send-div. And by the way, he watched the first 4 races today at the runoffs to see what turn 1 restarts look like. To Mike.
One of the big keys to success in this H production race is going to be reliability. You got a lot of old cars with a lot of old parts and some very twisted engines. When a lot of these engines were built over 50 years ago, they made between 30 and 40 horsepower. Now they're pushing 95 to 100 horsepower. So the key to winning today and even being successful is not only managing your car and driving well, but managing your car and your engine.
That's a good point. You know, getting parts for these when you break an engine or something isn't that easy. There's only so many junkyard parts left that you can get, and they, of course, have not produced these bug-eye sprites and stuff for a very long time.
Well, Craig Kima accumulated the parts, built his MG, and has qualified it on the pole. That midget very, very fast. In fact, over a second faster than Tom Feller, your defending national champion. So it looks like Craig Kima has a very good car underneath him, but as Mike Johnson said, hey, these things have to live to the end. They've already had a long life. Can they do it here in the race? Can they win a national championship?
Yeah, I mean, the newest car in that entire field is that Volkswagen, and that's not new by any means either, but these old bug eyes and things are really getting up there.
Kima is a 2-time national champion. He's won it in E production and F production, not in H production. He'll try to do it today. Field onto the front straightaway. Kima brings him down. The green flag waves. We are racing in H production at the national championships. Kima with a big jump. He's already taking advantage of that new car and pulling out to a lead.
3 wide there going into where it funnels down. Like I said, we've had trouble there. One of the Fiat X19s locking a brake up, keeps it under control. Watch turn 2 up here. We've seen all kind of trouble through this little S. And there's some more. Brake smoke all over the place.
Yeah, a little lock up there. It's down the hill. Kima beginning to pull out a little bit, and I believe Chris Christenberry got the better of Feller and has moved into second place. Wheels dropping in the back. 2, 3 wide into 3. That's just not going to work.
Well, they got it sorted out. One thing about these cars, like I said at the beginning, they're momentum cars. The corner speed is really good on the cars. They just don't accelerate all that well.
And different size tires as well on some of these different cars, different horsepower. The rules dictate that you have different size tires, so not the same amount of rubber on all of these, and that will play as well. Mike.
Al, we're talking about tires right now, and you can look at these wheels here. These are the Goodyears off of one of the Austin Healey's. The rules mandate that they're only allowed a 6-inch wide wheel. And when these cars were built, they probably had 3-inch wide wheels. Now they're racing with 6, but they need more stick, more grip. So what does Goodyear do? Well, they make a tire that actually bulges up around. This is an 8-inch wide tire. So there's a rule on wheels, but not a rule on tire width.
I love engineers.
Yeah, they'll always find a way around it. That gets you more rubber on the road, and but you can go too much with these. They have no horsepower to speak of, some 80, 90 horsepower.
Well, that's a good point. How much rubber do you want to put on the road? Because if you got a big tire patch down, you got to roll that, you got to turn it, and that takes horsepower. Now, look at this battle into turn 10, one of the faster sections of the racetrack.
Guys running 3 wide through there. A bunch of these guys have raced for many years with each other, so there's inherent trust amongst the guys you've raced with like that.
Well, and you gotta have trust if you're going to get all that done. You saw the 21 of Brannon and doing battle with Don Barrick in that Volkswagen. Barrick got the best of him and got through. There's a look at the 37, Joel McGinley, and a problem for the 32.
It's a nice, clean-looking car he's got off the racetrack there. And see the corner workers, they're all working for free here, pulling them out. See what we can find out about this.
You got to hand it to the corner workers. They're all volunteers, so they're out here working hard, and they're not getting paid for it. Oh, he's backwards down in turn 1.
He either had rear brake bias, had too much rear brake and locked up and spun it. And he just goes right out in the grass there.
Got another problem with car 11, Kendall Jones.
That's in the bus stop. That's the slowest corner on the racetrack off the back straightaway.
Gets it refired and back underway, but that's going to set him well back. Jones being shown in 23rd right now. He can't go too much further back. Meanwhile, Kima out in front but being chased. Tom Feller not letting him get away. It looks like Kima doesn't have the pace that he had in qualifying. Perhaps he had one magic lap. And any way you look at it, he still had a spectacular pole runner. Perhaps he's just being smart and conserving tires and conserving the car, because rumor has it, Dorsey, this car is sold. He can't afford to tear it up.
The Volkswagen's off in the grass too now.
That was Don Barrick, I believe, in the Volkswagen having a problem. We'll get a better look and see if we can find out what happened, but I believe that was Barrick. Remember, in that front-wheel drive Volkswagen, we talked about the face of H production changing. It used to be just British marks, and now look.
Yeah, he's already spun. He's backwards in the racetrack. And that is in the bus stop again.
Now, Barrick is a counter-terrorist driving instructor, like I said, so maybe he's used to figuring out, how to drive off track. Now, problems for the 37 as well. He just spun. John Salisbury. It's Joel McGinley. I'm sorry. So I wonder if there's some fluid or some dirt down.
That's what I was just about to say. Now you got to start to wonder if maybe there's some fluid. Oh, see the oil flag. This right here. That's the oil flag that's being displayed. Our debris flag. So that corner worker was warning these drivers of a slippery, and right there you see it. So they didn't adhere to that flag, or they didn't pay it enough credence, that's for sure.
That was down in turn 5, and that's one of the slower corners on the racetrack. Hard to see right now, too, Dorsey. The sun beginning to set, getting low on the horizon, and that's going to be an issue trying to pick up those that oil glare and any debris that may be on the racetrack.
That is one flag, though, that you really gain respect for, because when they're waving that yellow and red flag saying there's debris or oil, and you're running a race car, you better be taking that into consideration.
Craig Kima continuing to lead in that beautiful red MG Midget, the one that he built this year specifically for H Production. But look at Tom Feller, defending national champion, all over him, but a problem for Ron Bartel in the number 40. He's a past SCCA national champion. He will not win that championship today. H Production will continue from here in Heartland Park when we come back.
Is it old age and treachery or youthful exuberance? Well, here at the Aldred family, the score is 1-1 when it comes to SCCA Runoffs races. Now, I'm here with Father Dwight. Dwight, you beat your son last year, and you also bought a new car this year. Why would you go with a new car?
Well, the Spitfire is hard to get parts for it, and less maintenance on the Volkswagen, and I think it might be a little bit faster.
All right, well, over here with son Andrew. Andrew, your father beat you last year, but you beat him the year before. Now, are there some terms this year? Does the loser have to drive the truck home back to Florida?
Not quite, but it'll be a big steak dinner for the winner, so I've got a lot to race for this year.
All right, well, best of luck.
Well, right now, Dad is leading, or at least he was, the 44, running in the 17th place. And now the 82 has gotten past on that last lap, so the son has now moved ahead. So who's going to be buying steak dinner this weekend?
Well, he looked hungry in that interview to me. I think he's thinking steak.
Meanwhile, the battles continue, but Andrew Aldred has the best of his dad right now, at least for now. But hey, it's a long race. We're only 3 laps in. We'll see if Dwight can climb his way back up and do battle with his son. See him coming onto the front straightaway back there, but he's beginning to drop back a little bit, Dorsey. It looks like Andrew's gotten the better of him. You see Dad there Dwight Aldred in the number 44 had his problem. Oh, and the leader, Craig Kima. A problem for Kima. He has spun, Dorsey.
Under the pressure, I'm sure, because Tom Feller, who was running second, was looking to me like he had a better car. We'll take a look at it in a minute. Tom Feller is not only the reigning track champion and two-time champion, he holds the track record here at Heartland Park as well. Let's take a look what happened to Craig. By himself, just way too deep down into turn 5.
But
too much speed.
That's
that
where
oily
the oil
area.
flag was.
Yeah, that's that oily area that we've seen those spins.
And there was no oil flag down. I looked at the corner worker station on the left. There was no oil flag being displayed. So they have obviously lifted that flag. Kima just getting caught out. Now we will find out if Craig Kima has those qualifying laps in that MG midget. Let's see what he can do.
Boy, I tell you, that's a shame. I mean, that oil flag was up for at least one lap. I'm sure he would have seen it last lap, but as you say, the corner workers had brought it down. I'm sure they thought everyone by now knows of whatever it is that's so slippery out there.
Craig Kima obviously did not know. He spun. Tom Feller has gotten by. Feller already across the line. Kima giving chase. Mike.
All right, I'm down there with Craig's brother, Derek. Derek's trying to get in here real quick, talking to him on the radio. Obviously, he spun and got back together. Derek, what did he tell you on the radio? What happened on the spin?
Got hooked up in somebody's oil. I don't know what happened.
Well, we've been seeing here on pit lane, we've already seen a few cars driving by, and you can see another one going by right now, the number 81 with smoke and a lot of sour motors already this early in the race. So, the reliability is still a big factor in this.
Yeah, Mike, it's exactly like what you said at the beginning of the telecast. These things are 40, 50-year-old designed engines. They only make 50, 60 horsepower now, 80 or 90, and they're really pushing them to the limit. That definitely was an oil spin.
Yeah, just about halfway to the apex, maybe a third of the way through the corner. You saw the rear end just break loose. He would have been trailing off the brakes and back into the throttle by then. So definitely something on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Tom Feller doesn't care. But I guarantee you, he took note of where Craig Kima had that problem. Feller looking for 3 national championships, looking for the three-peat.
Now, Kima was 1.1 second a lap faster in qualifying than Feller was, and right now just ran a lap at a second and a tenth faster than what Feller did, so he will be coming up pretty quickly.
Craig Kima just ran a 57.1. That's about a second slower than he qualified. You might expect that because the tires now have several laps on him, but he's a good 9/10 to a second faster than Tom Feller. Only 4 laps in the book, so there's plenty of time left. He needs to be nice, cool, calm, and collected to get that taken care of. The battle for 11th right now between the 46 and the 41. The 41, Randall Canfield trying to hold on and try to fend off Kraus right behind him. It's a good look at between the old and the new, Dorsey. We got the front-wheel drive Volkswagen in front of him, and then the older rear-wheel drive behind.
You hate to say it, but at some point in time, their parts are just going to run out. You're not going to be able to get what breaks on these race cars because they're 50 years old, and there's just no surplus of that. You don't make anything like that anymore.
Johannes Kraus in his number 46, holding station in 11, but now beginning to feel pressure from right behind him. Andrew Wright, his best runoff finish, a 10th. Everybody's looking for a national championship, and anything can happen when you come to the runoffs. Make sure you stick with us. You'll find out exactly what does. The 43rd running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, where dreams are made, gold medals are handed out, and years worth of competition and trying brings you the gold medal, the national championship. That's what the Runoffs is all about. That's what they're pursuing right now on track in H Production.
You forgot about the other side of the coin, the heartbreak and the broken wallet.
Yeah, well, but we don't talk about that.
Okay, all right.
That's not to be talked about right now. Tom Feller looking at, hey, can I collect 3 of these gold medals? But Craig Kima is going to be hunting him down.
Kima can see him, and that's dangerous because when you're a faster car and you can make eye contact with whoever you're chasing, it somehow makes it magical where you can come up and take those tenths of a second away from the other driver.
And Kima knows it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his problem. So he's got his head down. Let's get down to Jim Trado.
We're checking with Tom Feller's dad, Chuck, who's been on the radio with his son, anxiously awaiting to come by the race leader in search of his 3rd consecutive Runoffs championship. He now clicks the watch, and he is certainly doing an interval right now to see what that lead is for your son. Chuck, any thoughts or any comments from your son on the radio?
He says it's starting to push a little bit, and he's obviously sees Craig in his mirror, so he's busy driving.
Did he mention that? Oh, here he comes, or is he saying the dot's getting bigger in the mirror? How did he know he was back there?
Well, he knew he was. He asked me the first lap after Craig's spin to give him a gap, but before I could do it, he said, "Oh, I see him."
Any thoughts on how this car will wear for 18 laps? You just asked your crew member, how many laps are we in? Are you trying to count them down already?
Oh, no, I just wanted to get a sense. I lose track up here, you know. So I wanted to get a sense of how far we were into it. Yeah.
The thoughts of Tom Feller's dad, Chuck, here on pit wall.
Well, Craig Kima just turned a lap 1.6 seconds faster than Tom Feller. The gap was over 5. It's now 3 seconds.
And he turned the lap, was within 4/10 of his qualifying run. What we've seen today is that the racetrack today is slow. It's been almost a second lap slow, so he's got the hammer down. 156.4 he just ran. A second and a half a lap. It won't take many laps. He'll be knocking on the door.
No, it won't. And both of these guys, ex-national champions. Here's the battle, 7th, 8th, and 9th right now. Stanford in the number 6. Running in the 6th or in the 7th position right now. Barrick right there in front of them. He's the lead car in that Volkswagen, running 6th right now. Stanford right behind him in the red car, doing battle, trying to work their way up. Barrick trying to make up for that spin that he had earlier on the oil.
The Volkswagen has the biggest engine displacement of all these cars it's running with. It's also heavier, obviously, but it definitely, you can see it's got an advantage on those straightaways.
John Stanford in his triumph, trying to close the ground to that front-wheel drive Volkswagen that Don Barrick is in, but he's got to be concerned as well. It's Tony Drum behind him. Here's the problem for Barrick earlier. You see the oil flag there, and that's what caught Kima out. I got to believe it, Dorsey. Same corner.
Yeah, there's no question. You see that second car spinning right there. There was oil dump in there at some point, and he got caught out by it. Now he's running really, really, really hard, trying to make up the deficit.
21, Matt Brannon up to 4th. Brannon having a good run as well out of my hometown, Columbus, Ohio.
He was your 3rd place on the podium last year, so he's one position worse off than what he was last year.
Yeah, but you know it is a long way to go. It is a long way to go here in H production right now. Still trying to hold on. Brannon in 5th, trying to hold on to that spot. The 34, John Salisbury, right behind him, and his Austin Healy looking for a way by. Seeing a little smoke out of the back of that.
Yeah, I saw it too, and that's not unusual.
I was going to say, but that's not unusual.
No, they push these cars to the limit, and you know, the technology available.
Look at this, a lead change. Craig Kima has gotten past Feller. And we knew it was going to happen, or we felt like it would at the pace that Kima was running, but he has now caught him and gotten by within just a lap and a half, Dorsey.
That was huge speed that you saw there. Look at this.
Feller's not giving up.
Feller's with a better run through that particular part of the course. So is this a horsepower issue? Well, no, we get to the straightaway.
Kima out of the bus stop. Feller right behind him down through turn 10. Now they'll work through the tight sections and get back to the straightaway. Feller looking up the inside again. No, not there. Not
Feller's car is definitely the better handling of the two cars. I mean, he's really nailing these corners.
Well, we'll find out when they get on the front straightaway. 2 more turns, Dorsey, and now it's a long straight, and we'll see who's got the horsepower. Here's what happened for the pass for the lead. You see Feller working his way through lap traffic past the 44 of Aldred.
He got held up a little bit, and he's going to get held up even a little bit more there. Of course, Kima didn't get slowed up at all, and he was right up the inside.
Oh, and slides in front of him, just gets it done. I'm not sure Feller knew he was that close. And in the meantime, Craig Kima onto the front straightaway. There's something missing, Dorsey.
Yeah, it's Feller, and the way he had been driving those corners, I got to assume I know what's about to happen. He's been charging these corners really hard to make up the deficit in time.
This is onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, that's coming on the front straightaway.
What's missing is Craig Kima.
Right.
Kima's in second. Feller's going to the lead.
I got it backwards. I thought it was Feller missing. It's Kima that was wrong.
Onto the front straightaway.
Spin.
Oh, it almost gets the front end taken off. Tom Feller, he might be a cat.
I'd say so. 9 laps out of 18 done, half the race over, and his competition has spun out twice already.
Craig Kima trying to hand the win to Tom Feller, but right now, Feller getting the best of it. Some 11 seconds in hand. H production, it is turning into a barn burner. Do not miss a lap. Come back to Heartland Park. 43rd running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. H production at the start. Craig Kima takes his pole-sitting MG Midget, jumps out in front, but it doesn't take long. Oil down on the racetrack. Problems for a lot of the competitors. Don Barrick has a problem. He spins on the oil.
And right behind him, it's not over with yet. And then out there's one of the cars that came in the pits with engine trouble. Was that the oil leaker? No,
that was Ron Bartel. Ron Bartel says, I've had it. Craig Kima had the lead. It's gone, Dorsey.
Yeah, there's that same corner. He spins in and then back into the lead. He makes up about a 5-second deficit. And then he comes on the front straightaway with a commanding lead. And down she goes again.
Tom Feller back in the lead. Craig Kima has been there. He's given it up twice on spins of his own. One in oil. I don't know what happened onto the front straightaway. Well, it doesn't matter, though.
He was getting pressured in corners by a lot by Feller. I mean, Feller was a much quicker car through the corners, and I think he just overdrove that particular corner. And with this deficit now being at 11 seconds or whatever, there's no way that's going to get taken away.
Well, and how many times do you spin and still have round tires?
Well, that's true, too. Although it did look like he flat spotted him because you didn't see much smoke.
Craig Kima, two-time national champion, E production, F production. That car is sold, but maybe it'd be a bonus if he won the championship with it. Doesn't really matter. Tom Feller out in front right now, having it all his way in his Triumph Spitfire after Kima had his problems. Looking back to Dwight Aldred.
That's a car that's not hard to miss.
Hard to miss. Running 21st right now.
Volkswagen with the top cut off.
He's trying to stay out of the way. That's Chris Christenberry in the 05 trying to get by. Christenberry running third saying, hey, stay out of the way. And Don Barrick in that Volkswagen wants by Aldred as well.
Yeah, that's a pair of Volkswagens, and that's what they both, the one on the left is one that used to look like that. They're both the same car. You just chop the top off the other one.
Christenberry finished on the podium last year. He finished second. He'd like to finish there, but he's going to have to get past Craig Kima, who is running substantially quicker right now. Kima looking at a 13-second gap up to Tom Feller that last lap by. We'll see if he can find the speed back in that MG Midget, but Tom Feller doing a great job. Look at Christenberry trying to hold off Barrick.
Well, we know he can run at least a second lap faster than Feller, but if you do the math on that, he's out of time.
Never been much of one for math. Look at Don Barrick, though, in that front-wheel drive, really bringing the battle to Christenberry. I got to believe Barrick has the better car right now. Yeah. Is it because it's front-wheel drive?
Well, it could be. I mean, the tire wear on the front-wheel drive is something that you don't have to worry about quite as much. And it does have a bigger displacement in the engine, which helps with torque most of the time.
You know, what about aerodynamics? People look at these convertibles and think, well, they're nice and slippery, but these cars with hard tops, the air flows over better, doesn't it?
Yeah, that opening where the drivers are sitting is a big void where the air goes and piles in there. And it's not particularly aerodynamically clean.
Now Barrick gets by him down the straightaway, gets it in the corner. Look at it lift that inside rear tire. I love that in these front-wheel drive cars. Off he goes. Barrick almost makes it look easy. Christenberry relegated back to fourth. Don Barrick up to third.
Yeah, these front-wheel drive cars don't even need the rear tires. That's just keeping the passengers out of the dirt. That's all that's doing. Look at the slide. That's pretty neat looking with the front-wheel drive slide.
Well, and you got to worry a little bit, I would think, about on the front-wheel drive car about that long duration turn 3 and burning off the front tires.
Those are the corners that front-wheel drives don't like, are real long duration corners, because of course you're asking the front tires to do all of the steering, then you ask them to do all the acceleration too, so it's a lot to overheat the tire.
Here's the battle for 10th and 11th, the 46 car. Johannes Kraus in his Volkswagen trying to hold off the 31. We've seen this battle all day long. Andrew Wright.
Andrew Wright's car smoking pretty badly as we saw it go through turn 2 there.
The Bug-Eye Sprite up against the Volkswagen, working their way through some of the tighter areas of the racetrack right now.
Of course, all these British cars leak oil. That's why they're still around.
Kraus has a bit of an advantage. The advantage overall goes to Tom Feller. He leads. Can he collect 3 national championships in H production? We'll find out when we come back to Heartland Park. The SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Tom Feller continues to lead in H production, and it has been in dramatic fashion that he has been in the lead, been in second, and been back in the lead, but it doesn't matter. That's where he is now. The question, Dorsey, can he be there in 7 laps?
Oh, I think he can. I don't have any doubt in my mind about it. Now that he's got the pressure off, he can run the pace that he wants to run at. and he really hasn't made a mistake. Like I say, he's a track record here. He's been a past champion for the last 2 years, but he is not driving the fastest car. That's a fact.
Now, Craig Kima still 1.6 seconds faster that last lap than Tom Feller. He's closed the gap from 13 seconds to 11 seconds, but there are only 7 laps to go.
Which is going to put him right about where he needs to be when the checkered flag comes out, if he can maintain that same pace.
So there's going to be a lot of excitement on the last lap. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, well, he'll be mirror drive. Mr. Feller will be on the radio with his dad or whoever it was back there. Say, where's he at now? Where's he at now?
Feller been very consistent. You see that 1:2:01 lap time, and there you got to believe that was probably
that was traffic. Yeah, he got in the traffic there. There's the reason. That's the spin in the oil. That was the first spin. And then, of course, he made that hole. That was about 6 seconds deficit. He made that up, took the lead, and then here on the front straightaway, spins it again. And this was a very costly one. He's 13 seconds back now.
Yeah, just a really strange place to spin as well. You're talking about these cars not having a lot of horsepower, but I guess you're trying to let them run free off of that. And maybe just a little wheel spin, gets a spin. Tom Feller continues to lead about 11 seconds back to what we've got there. There's the battle for 5th.
That's the Fiat X19 in the lead at the present time.
21 of Matt Brannon in that Fiat, trying to hold station right now over the number 34, John Salisbury. Just behind him, Salisbury in that Austin Healey, his best runoffs finish a 4th in 2002, 2003, and 2004.
And he got a good enough run, he's going to come by.
Mike Johnson, what have you got, bud?
Well, I'm with Marty Brannon, wife of Matt Brannon. She's working very hard down here trying to keep laps for her husband. But you're missing somebody on your team this weekend. Who's not here?
Yeah, my son Braden. He's been a big part of our team. He's out there working with us with the car every night, and he had to stay home and go to school. He's learning to read right now, so it's a really important time to stay in school. So we couldn't have him off for a whole week.
Well, reading is very important. If any of you at home have ever raced with your mother or your wife and she's actually doing the lap times, I always trusted the lap times of my wife or my mom when she was taking them before any other computer. So very important work being done up here on the pit lane.
Yeah, but the officials never do, Mike. That's the problem.
Well, this SCCA Runoffs is all about family. It always has been, and it's how we all grew up. I mean, I used to come to these things. My mom and dad, my sister, my brother. Heck, my brother and my dad and I all raced against each other. So it's a family sport, and this is the epitome of it.
John Salisbury has moved up to 5th, and right now Brannon holding on to 6th, but then Tony Drum right behind him in the number 16 is beginning to come on strong. Look at him put the pressure on Brannon.
Brannon's car looks like it's off on its handling. Drum really no problem, just drives right by.
Yeah, I think Mr. Brannon may have an issue right now, Dorsey. He's beginning to drop back. As you said, Tony Drum made that look easy.
Yeah, I think the Fiat X19's got tire issues right now.
Matt Brannon, his best runoffs finished 3rd in 2005. He will not repeat that today, I don't believe. Tony Drum has gotten by him. Brannon slips back a spot to 7th. Drum picks up a spot to 6th. Drum looking for a top 5.
All these different types of cars. Oh, the 31 is spun off, and it almost impacted a barrier. That was your 10th place, Andrew Wright. He didn't. I don't think he hit that wall. I think he just slid right up to the end of it.
It was a near miss for sure. Or did he park it over there? I'm not exactly sure. The car doesn't have a mark on it.
Not this side of it, anyway.
Are you saying there could be a mark on the other side? Let's see.
Yeah, he's got a lot of speed. Ooh.
Please stop. Please stop. Please stop.
Lucky didn't flip there. Did you see it tilt?
Yep.
Tried to. Yeah, he was a lucky boy.
You talk about parks being hard to find. How hard is it to find the whole right side?
Now he's got it going. I was saying the different cars. You got these old bug-eye sprites. You got midgets out there in the Volkswagen. You got the Fiat X19. Guess what? All of them have won here before. And there's Mark Webber about to go lap down to the leader.
Tom Feller continues to lead in H production at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka. We'll see if he can win another one when we come back.
The SCCA National Championship Runoffs have gone on for over 4 decades. Well, so has Randy Canfield's driving career. He's been at the Runoffs all but 3 times in the span of his racing. And this Austin Healey Sprite certainly holds a special place for you, being a 5-time Runoffs champion. What is so special about this race car, Randy?
Well, it's a car that I bought new to drive on the street and drove all over the country for many years, even after I started racing, which is the 2nd year I owned it. And one gathers some knowledge about race cars when you do your own preparation, so it's very tempting to stick with what you've got.
He's had this race car since 1976, and in his 46 years of driving, this will be race car number 2 in his fleet. He's only had 2.
You know, and he's got to win in that car.
Oh, yeah, many wins.
He's still very quick.
Many wins. I raced against that car in my Fiat in 1970, early 70s, and Randy Canfield was the champion then. You know, he always was the guy to beat, and that car has been the same. It's looked like that. They've never changed the paint scheme or anything about that car.
The great thing about it is you see all these competitors who are always looking for the tweak of the week, always looking for new equipment to make it better and so that they can win. Well, you know what? Randy Canfield stays with the old tried and true, and he wins. Right now, Dwight Aldred having some good laps around the racetrack, having some fun, running back in 22nd, but at least enjoying it. Tom Feller working his way through, but Craig Kima has closed the gap to 8.3 seconds. As you look back, we'll see if we can see that red MG midget coming through the corner. There he is.
Well, he would have to shave off 2 seconds a lap because we only have 4 laps left, so I don't think that's possible, especially with traffic in the lane.
Absolutely amazing. He's closing in that quickly, Mike.
Yeah, down here with the crew with the 8-car Kima, he's you know, the crew is feeling so strong in the beginning. Now they're a little dejected. You know, a lot of guys come for a great time, and a lot of people come here to win. And, you know, I think this team, when you're sitting on the pole, you think, you know, all you think about is winning your runoffs, win that runoffs. And, you know, disappointed, but there's still 3 or 4 laps to go, and it's not over yet.
It's far from over, Mike. We've already seen mechanical problems. Tom Feller, we certainly wouldn't want to wish that on anybody, and I don't think Craig Kima would either. He wants to beat somebody heads up, but as we've said before, these are older cars with older parts. Craig Kima just built this one over the winter, but you just don't go down to your nearest Napa and buy parts for these.
Nope, that's for sure. He's having a race like I did at Trans Am race once. You pass everybody in the race twice and still lose.
Yeah, usually that happens. Craig Kima, after doing such a great job in qualifying.
Oh, he spun again. I can't believe it. He's just spun again right on the very same place he did the second time, coming on the front straightaway. Of course, that seals his fate. He might as well just cruise now. Yes. 3 laps to go, and he's just spun for the 3rd time.
It'll be interesting to see if he loses a position to Don Barrick. I see him in the background. Kima onto the front straightaway.
Identical, same spin. Just too much mid-corner speed, and it just breaks free right at the end.
Very, very curious. I mean, once again, Craig Kima, a very talented driver. He's won the runoffs twice, 2 national championships to his credit, 2 identical spins.
But you can imagine how hard he's driving to make up a 2.5 a lap on Feller, and that's what's causing him this trouble.
Perhaps he has burned the tires off of that MG midget. We'll find out if Tom Feller can hold on for 3 national championships in H production from the SCCA National Championship runoffs in Topeka. H production, the 2006 SCCA runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas. Tom Feller looking to make it 3 gold medals. And right now, Dorsey, 15 laps in the books, about 2.5 left.
He's on cruise and collect mode right now because he's fully aware that the 3rd spin by Kima has put him back a long way.
Craig Kima still on track, but well back. Jim Trado.
We're checking in with Mom now, Jill Feller. And Jill, your husband has worn through a pair of shoes, pacing back and forth. You're steadfast, marking down the laps. How is your emotion mindset right now?
Well, it's really about the same as his. I'm just a little more still, that's all. Yeah, he does go through shoes that we're in a hurry.
Now, this may be the 3rd straight. If everything goes to plan, is it any different than the other 2? Because it's a whole new racetrack.
Well, in the last couple of times been qualified first, so I wasn't expecting him to do as well this time, and it's very exciting. I'm really proud of my team. Got a good mechanic and a great driver.
That'd be Mom, Dad, and son, the team and driver collectively.
We always say that the SCCA, this amateur racing, is all about family. You see a perfect example of it right there. Tom Feller looking for 3 national championships in H production, and it all comes with the help of the family.
Oh, you can't do it without the family, that's for sure. You work in the garage till 2 or 3 in the morning all the time trying to keep these cars running. Like you said, you just don't go out to the Napa and buy parts. The number 11 car is pulled off on his own here. He didn't crash there, he just driven off.
Mechanical problem for Kendall Jones. What that means, Dorsey, it could mean more oil on the racetrack.
It could very well. Like I was saying before, these British cars leak oil anyway.
Looking right now at the battle for 5th. The 34, Salisbury, trying to hold down 5th. John Salisbury holding on, but Tony Drum in the 16 beginning to really pressure John Salisbury. Tony Drum looking to improve. He wants a top 5.
It looks like he's got him pretty well set up. I see the hood start to buff it a little bit from the wind coming off the 34.
Tony Drum's best finish, second at the runoffs. He'd like to at least get back to the podium. Salisbury's best runoffs finish, fourth. But right now, Tony Drum, I don't know, Dorsey. I mean, it looks like he's got maybe better handling through the tighter sections of the racetrack. It seems like Salisbury able to hold off the attack down the front straightaway.
You see right there, he cut the corner a little bit too tight. You really got to use all the road you can get because they don't have horsepower to pull them off of these corners like big cars do.
Yeah, Tony Drum with the handlings definitely through 3, really closing the gap through that high-speed left-hand corner. Looks to the inside in 4. Oh, that's not going to work.
No, there's not enough there. I mean, you can bother the guy that way, but he certainly didn't have enough speed to get alongside.
Tony Drum.
There's a better run right there. You see how much road he tracked out the outside. That gives him, frees the car up a little bit.
Tony Drum in that little number 16 MG, sponsorship by a salvage company. Maybe that's a good idea when you're driving.
Well, there's not a lot of those in the salvage either. Of course, that's MG Midget, and there's more of those around, and they're going to be on their last lap. So if he's going to do it, he's got 14 more turns to get it done by.
Tom Feller saw the white flag last time by. He's completed 17 laps. Craig Kima has not. Now he just crosses the line, 22, almost 23 seconds back. Kima will be very disappointed, I am sure. And if Tom Feller can hold on, well, we'll see the opposite end of the emotional spectrum.
You can't blame Kima for not trying. I mean, he definitely gave it his all to try to make up after the first spin, and probably caused the next 2.
Tony Drum giving it his all as well, trying to hold on to the back of John Salisbury.
Different lines through that corner there, you know. Drum, a much tighter line. Salisbury got the better exit off that corner. Oh, look at him now. Drum's right there. Up on the front. He spins.
He spins.
The same spin that Chima did twice, right on the front straightaway. Problem with these cars with no horsepower is when you commit to a corner speed-wise and it breaks free, there's no power to save it. I mean, once that back end steps out like that, you just really have nothing to work with.
John Salisbury breathing, I should say, a sigh of relief. Tony Drum, kind of like Craig Kima, you can't take anything away. He's given it all he's got. It just wasn't quite enough, not enough grip.
See, the very same thing happens to Drum as what happened to Kima. He gets to the middle part of the corner with a lot of speed on, and it goes further out into the gray area, gets slippery, and around it goes.
Tom Feller working his way through the last 2 corners, the right, then the left onto the front straightaway. The checkered flag will be in sight. Maybe 1, 2 more gear shifts, and Tom Feller will have his 3rd gold medal, his 3rd SCCA National Championship in H production. The flag waves, the celebration begins. Ah, the emotion. That's what it is all about. All year long, this is what you fought for. Your dream is now become a reality. Tom Feller takes the H Production National Championship.
For the 3rd straight time, H Production belongs to Tom Feller. A new venue, but the same result. For the 3rd straight time, Tom, you're back in victory lane. How'd you do it?
Just kept my nose clean and stayed out of the oil. There was a lot of oil out there, and put a lot of pressure on Craig in the corners, and he lost it once, and after that it just ran away from him, so just kept my head down.
How about all those spins? I mean, it was crazy out there.
Yep, there was a lot of oil down, and I had to go so slow I had to use a different gear, and out in turn 6 there was so much oil, but pretty happy with the results.
Experience pays off, guys, in gold. Let's go to Mike Johnson.
Well, you can see Craig Chima coming down the track right now here in the victory circle. 2nd place for him. I don't know if I'll be able to get an interview. You know, hey, Craig, you had a fast car today, but with 3 spins, that sure makes it very hard to win. Need to try to get that helmet off as quickly as we can here. All right, we gotta go. All right. Quick question. 3 spins, what was going on?
I pretty much suck anymore.
Well, there's your answer, and that's all that needs to be said, I guess.
Oh man, I know what that feeling's like.
I don't believe that by any stretch of the imagination. Craig Kima, a very talented driver, obviously just not having the result that he wanted. Tom Feller takes the gold for the 3rd time. Great run by Don Barrick in his Volkswagen with a top 3 finish. You don't believe that either, do you?
No, he'll be fine, but I know what he feels like. Christenberry, good run in 4th place there, so at least one of the top 3 comes back a winner.
Well, Tom Feller will take the victory. You see, Kima, he has nothing to be embarrassed about. Very difficult conditions today. You heard Tom Feller say, hey, I almost lost it many times as well. A lot of oil out on the racetrack. It has been our pleasure to bring you H Production from the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. For Jim Trado, Mike Johnson, Dorsey Schrader, I'm Brian Till. Make sure you catch the rest of the races right here only on Speed. So long, everybody.